Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope things are moving smooth, things are moving with a state of clarity in your lives. Because without clarity, it's like a life which is full of hit and trial methods. I hope you are able to watch the mistakes you make. I hope you're able to see how inattention plays a lot of role in those mistakes. So today I would like to open up a very general assumption which is very popular among people, and that assumption is that thought is my friend, or thinking is useful. Always thinking is always helpful. So let's just open the context a little bit of how we are going to face the question. From morning to evening, and even when we are sleeping, if you have observed that thinking goes on, just as our heart beats constantly to supply blood, to supply blood to all parts of the body, which eventually carries oxygen to all parts of the body. Just like other parts of our body, like digestion, nervous system, they all work. In the same way, thinking also keeps on working all the time. Now, one way to say is that this is totally fine, this is totally normal, because the way a heart is working all the time, and that's beneficial for the body. In the same way, thought is working all the time, and that is also beneficial for us. Now, I'm not taking the definition of thought in a very deep sense, which we've discussed many times on the channel. I'm just taking at the moment thought as any common person would say, the mental activity. So it is a general assumption that it's totally healthy that thought is in motion, thought is working all the time. Even in the sleep, what we call dreams, are also projections used by thought. Projections created by thought and used by thought. Why I'm saying used by thought? Because thought is taking pleasure from those projections. When you're having a nice dream, you're also having pleasure even in that sleep. So the brain is constantly active with thinking. Now, it's totally fine for the brain to be active for bodily functions, transfer of the blood, when to start digestion, when to stop digestion, all kinds of things, regulate blood sugar, regulate blood pressure. All of that is totally fine in terms of the brain's functioning, because if that stops, the body collapses, the body falls apart. And In the same way, we have assumed or we feel that thinking is also fine if it works all the time. Now, a way to verify it is that you can see how many times you ask for answers from thinking during the day. Thinking is answering your questions all the day, during all the time. Every problem, from finding of toothpaste to finding a socks to complex problems of life's relationships and everything, thought has been used to solve those problems, or at least to attempt to solve those problems. Now, thought is able to solve some of them, and thought is not able to solve some of them, right? Which is why frustration arises, fear arises, sadness arises. If you knew that thought could solve every problem, you wouldn't be afraid, right? You would feel very chill. That doesn't matter what happens in life, I can solve it by thinking. But sadly, it's not the case. Thought cannot solve all problems of life. So, because it's able to solve some problems of life, we have started to develop a great sense of dependence on thought. We've started to use it in every aspect of life. Now, my question is thought always reliable? Is it always giving us the right information? I would take an example, real example. I was talking with my mother, and she was asking some questions about how overthinking is really troubling her. Because as the age increases, the body cannot provide all that energy to keep thinking. The brain feels tremendously tired when you age and keep thinking. This is also one thing that we should realize, that thinking is a very, very expensive process. It consumes a lot of energy. Okay? So my mom was asking me how she can improve on this, how she can have some rest from thinking so that she doesn't feel so tired. And we started to talk. In some weeks of discussions, we reached a point where I was ready to share with her the path of awareness. I discussed with her, I shared with her that if she can be aware of her actions during the day, can she be attentive on how she lives? Now, she thought she would need some separate time for it. But I told her, you don't need to change your life or anything. Just do whatever you do during the day. But just be attentive how you're doing it. So she tried it and she came back to me, and then she said that I tried to do it and I see I can be attentive for some time on myself, and then I doze off into something else. And after some time I realize, oh, I have not been attentive during this time, and then maybe I can start again. As she said it, as she shared it with me, I had a glimpse of that claim that she's making. And I asked her how she came to know that she wasn't attentive. And she said that as I dozed off from what I was supposed to do, paying attention on myself, after some moments, I suddenly realized, and I stopped her at that point and I said, no, how you suddenly realized? And then she said, it came to my mind. And I said, how it came to your mind? She said, it came as I thought. So while she was being inattentive according to herself, a thought came which made her realize that, hey, you are not doing what you were supposed to do, what was to pay attention on yourself, and now you're being inattentive, so let's be attentive again. Now, in this statement, nothing feels wrong. If I say this to a lot of people, maybe most people, they would say it's totally fine to say this statement. This statement has no fallacy into it. There's no illogic in that statement. But if any of you have followed the channel, if any of you have ever listened what we've been talking in the channel, then you can easily detect the problem with that statement. Thought comes in to help in the matters of awareness and attention. Thought comes in and tells you what is attention and what is not attention. Thought comes in and tells you what is awareness and what is not awareness. Now, this is the big problem, which doesn't sound weird at all, but if you've listened, then it is a huge blunder by thought. Awareness and attention are not things. I'm using the word things right now, even though they are not a thing. Or let's not use the word thing. Let's say awareness and attention are not in the field or in the grasp of thought. So when thought comes and tells you that you've been inattentive, that's a false claim. That is thought operating beyond its limit. When thought tells you 2 plus 2 is 4, that's fine, because that calculation is in the range of thought. When thought solves a mathematical calculation to calculate the path of moon around the earth using Newtonian equations, that's also fine. But when thought comes and starts to talk about awareness, when thought comes and starts to talk about the field of meditation, that is total illogical, let's say that. Because the area of awareness, the area of meditation is not in the field of thought. And yet, thought projects itself as if it can know awareness. Thought projects itself as if it can know what is attention. This is the major reason why people have an explanation for their meditative experience. Because those meditative experiences were actually experiences created by thought or created using thought, which is why thought could recognize them. which is why thought could put his fingers into them and then later on say, this experience was like this, this experience was like that. Hence, we cannot clearly confirm that thought is always helpful. Now, most people do not face the question of attention, awareness, and meditation in their lives. And I guess for them, it feels fine that yes, we are not facing those questions, so no problem. But they do face questions which are beyond the field of thought. They do face the question of how to live a good life. They too face the question of the fear of the future. They do have to face death. And all these questions, all these challenges are way beyond the field of thought. You cannot think about what will happen tomorrow. You can make a logical guess, that's true. But still, you cannot know it. But the problem is that when thought crosses its boundary, when thought crosses its limit, it doesn't come with a disclaimer. It doesn't say that, look, this is the case, but I am telling you that I am able to get this answer beyond my boundary. Nowadays, AI is always putting, please recheck the answers as we are not responsible for what the AI is producing. Thought doesn't write that. Thought is a kind of AI which claims that everything it produces is super correct. Okay? And now, over thousands of years of evolution, the brain has got used to that AI. The brain is so accustomed with thought, and the brain has developed a sense of trust on thought. So whatever thought brings in, brain starts to accept it as a reality. So when thought tries to tell you that you meditated, don't trust it. When thought tries to tell you this is awareness, don't trust it. When thought tries to tell you you've been inattentive, don't trust it. When thought tries to tell you how to solve a quadratic equation, that you can trust. That's fine. But not everything in life is in the field of thought. We would want it to be. We have even we've even dragged God in the field of thought. We've given God a name, a picture, a figure, different kind of things. So everything has been brought in the field of thought because that's what thought wants. When thought faces something which is outside its field, it's tremendously afraid of it. So try to question this trust that the brain shows on thinking. Thinking is not always helping you. It is meant to help you, but like an AI, it could go drastically wrong in the attempt to help you. So thought thinks it's helping you to be meditative, right? Now, that's a very dangerous help. You don't need that help. If I'm trying to find something, if I'm trying to expose something, if I'm trying to live something which requires that thought shouldn't interfere, if the criteria to test a living condition, if the criteria to test a state of life is that thought must not interfere, then in this kind of an experiment, thought shouldn't come to interfere. Because the whole point of experiment is to see how life is without thought. Now, if thought comes in and says, wait, I will help you to see how life is without thought, then you will never be able to conduct that experiment. You would never be able to reach that experiment. Okay? So, you have to understand, observe where thought is perfectly functional and it doesn't create any distortion, and where thought is trying to lie to you, like in the matters of meditation, where thought is trying to help you meditate. Don't take that help. There's no need for that help. Okay? So try to see this illusion that the brain has fallen into, that everything that thought suggests, it tries to accept it easily without even questioning it. So next time when thought tries to help you in matters it shouldn't help, question it. Don't just give it more freedom. I think this, if you understand, saves a lot of time for people who are practicing meditation. Even when you practice meditation, thought is always trying to help you. I will help you to follow the method precisely. Oh, don't move your leg, don't move your eyelids, don't do this, breathe like this, breathe like that. Thought is always trying to be the controller, even in meditation. So, you have to catch this controller and put him to rest. That wait, when you will be needed, you will be called. Right now, just rest. Okay? So, try to see this, and you would see that your meditative practice, whatever you're doing, will start to have a new life into it, because you've understood that thought cannot help there. Thought is totally useless there. As usual, please write to me for any questions, and we will meet again the next time. Thank you.